comes right down to it, we all just want to be happy. So why is it that true happiness seems just out of reach? There always seems to be something standing in the way. Today we are going to talk about breaking down those barriers to happiness. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura and I'm just going to dive straight into it because this is something that bugs the living snot out of me, so I want you to quit it right now. And that is wearing busyness like a badge of honor. You see, the problem with this last man standing mentality that is so prevalent these days is that eventually everyone drops. Yes, pursue the things that you are passionate about, but stop getting caught up in busy work. There is no joy in working yourself to death. There is no contentment in being stressed and anxious and overwhelmed. There's no happiness in being too busy to focus on what is really important to you. Following on from that then, stop caring about what other people think of you. Listen, I know it's easier said than done, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. Start now, small little things, and practice and build up that muscle. When you take other people's opinions just out of the equation, you will be so much happier, because what will happen is you start doing the things that you actually want to do instead of the things that you think will look good to others. And listen, I am not saying become an asshole. I'm just stop every now and again and ask yourself, would I still do this thing if nobody cared, like if nobody was watching me? Who is this important to? Who am I doing this for? Who are you living your life for? The fact is, we all have a limited number of hours, so don't spend yours in servitude to someone else's opinion. Which leads me to regrets. Hanging on to regrets or mistakes or bad things that happened in your past is such a waste of time and energy. It serves no purpose. If you learned something from the experience and you are putting that into practice, then you're golden. And I'm not saying it wasn't a crap experience. I'm not saying that it should have happened or that it deserved to happen. I'm just saying that it happened. Past tense. Continuing to beat yourself up over something that you think you should have done differently, something that you think someone else should have done differently, or just generally something that didn't go the way you wanted it to go, that is entirely wasted energy. Unless you have a time machine, leave that stuff in the past. If you can't change that thing for the better, stop letting it change you for the worse. Or maybe you're worried about something that hasn't happened yet, or something that is just about to unfold. But worrying doesn't change the future. All it does is suck the joy out of the present. Assuming that you haven't sorted that time machine by now, the only way that you can have any effect on the future is by doing something about it in the here and now. You can only try to create the future that you want and to avoid the future that you don't want. Again, and you can only do that right now. Worrying alone is just a waste of time. It doesn't change anything. And expanding on that then, if you want to be truly happy, you need to cut out the conditions. I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if. No, there's nothing wrong with looking forward and planning for the future, but if that's where all of your hopes and dreams and happiness live, you're never going to find them, because the future is always going to be ahead of you. There will always be obstacles and challenges and problems in your everyday life. They're not going anywhere, or maybe one of them will disappear, but another one will be right in there to take its place. So you can't pin your hopes on some perfect someday, because that just doesn't exist. If you're waiting for all of your problems to disappear, It's not going to happen. You have to find happiness in spite of all of that. If you make your happiness conditional, it's never going to happen. Which leads me to one of my biggest vices: perfectionism. You can't wait for things to be perfect because they never will be. But also you can't keep wanting to make everything perfect, because that destroys your happiness in two ways. The first is that you are going to get so bogged down in tiny details that it's just going to ruin the things for you. You'll drive yourself insane with unimportant things. And two, then you will leave so much on the table, so much stuff undone, because if you can't do it perfectly, you're not going to want to do it at all. This happens to me all the time. It's perfectionist paralysis. You know, I don't want to do anything that is less than the best, but the reality is that best is very fluid. It's not something, tangible. It is temporal. And what I mean by that is, something that you once thought was the best work you could do or was the best thing ever, suddenly, someday, it turns out not to be the best anymore. There is no perfect, there is no best. There is only action. A small achievement is so much better than a big dream that's never realized. So act, do, make, create, just cut out procrastination. And let me be clear, before you jump into the comments, I am not talking about cutting out downtime. I'm not talking about not allowing yourself time to rest and recharge. I'm simply saying stop living a mindless life. Stop doing things without thinking. Here's something that hit me recently, because I was having a day where I was finding it really tough to focus on work. I was really struggling with it, and I was trying to focus and I was trying to push through, but it wasn't really happening, and I found myself scrolling through social media and reading, and at the end of the day, even though I had essentially taken the day off because I hadn't done that much work and had spent time doing other things, I still did not feel rested and rejuvenated. And the reason is because of that internal struggle. All day I was fighting it. I just kept thinking of what I should have been doing. It wasn't a conscious decision, so there was no relaxation to be had. It's the days and the times that I consciously choose to take time off and read a book or watch some YouTube videos. Those are the days that I feel rested and relaxed, because there is no internal struggle, there is no internal debate. So stop living mindlessly and start making conscious decisions. If you're going to slack off, decide to slack off. Decide to give yourself that grace and to take the rest that you need. Don't try to trick yourself or cheat yourself. Don't half do it. Be intentional with your decisions, even if those decisions are to rest and take some time off. Now, I know at this stage you might be thinking, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I do something that doesn't turn out the way I want it to? What if that was the wrong thing for me to do? Here I would say, did you make the best decision that you could have made with the information that you had available, even though you were unsure of the outcome, and even though you thought that there was potential for things to go wrong? Did you make a conscious, positive decision as best you could with hope in your heart? Decisions aren't always clear cut. Some of them are, if you don't start working right now, you're going to miss the deadline. Some of them are very clear cut, but others aren't. And if you are agonizing over a decision, and if there is no clear path, then there is no right or wrong. You just have to choose and hope for the best. The same way you don't have a time machine, you also don't have a crystal ball. There is no point giving energy to something that you can't fathom, that you don't have any control over, as long as you are making a decision that you think is best. That's all you can do. And if it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that you made the wrong decision. That doesn't mean that you have failed. It definitely does not mean that the other decision would have worked out better for you. You know, maybe that was just a bigger shitstorm waiting to happen. You don't know. And that's the point. You don't know. You can't know. So stop getting so hung up on it. Stop giving yourself excuses not to make that decision and not to take action. Stop making those excuses for not moving yourself forward. Just in general, cut excuses right out of your life. And look, I know there is definitely a difference between an excuse and a valid reason, and sometimes they can be the exact same thing. You know, sometimes you might say to yourself, oh, I'm too tired to do that, and it may be an excuse, and then other times you may say, I'm too tired to do that, and that may be a valid reason. You may actually be too tired. So how do you know the difference? It really comes down to kind of a gut check, but a good way to do it is that if you say to yourself, I'm too tired to do this thing, would you also be too tired to do something that you wanted to do? And I think that's the test of it. Are you too tired just to do this thing? Or are you actually too tired to do anything? And also you can ask yourself, how long have I been too tired to do this thing? If you have been too tired for like 6 months now, that's probably a good sign that that is actually an excuse. I am not at all saying to push yourself beyond your limits. I'm just saying to be honest with yourself about what is an excuse and what is a valid, genuine reason. Just stop bullshitting yourself, basically. Own up to the real motivations and the real reasons why you are doing or not doing something. Because if you don't come from a place of honest evaluation, if you're not focusing on the real issues and the real problems, you're not going to come up with any effective solutions. Like, if there was a problem with the clutch on your car, but you kept focusing on the brakes, what's going to happen is you're going to constantly be bringing yourself to a stop when what you actually need to be doing is changing gears. In upcoming videos, I'm going to be covering lots of similar topics, like things to stop wasting your energy on, how to prioritize and carve out more time for you, and oodles of content around prepping for the new year so that you are ready to hit the ground running. Be sure that you are subscribed and that you hit that little notification bell if you want the next year of your life to be the happiest to date. I am pumping out all the content to help you achieve that. And in the meantime, check out these videos right here that are going to help you elevate your life right now. Curve míle maith agaibh. Agus feicim mé sibh sigalua. Slán!